it wasn't proven in a courtroom. Even though they were intimidated, the witnesses were intimidated into, not testifying because, well, there's a history of Manchester police retaliating against people who testify, or file complaints. As I've talked about in another case on the same show where, a colleague of mine filed a complaint against a police officer who violated his free speech rights. They arrested him for, I'm trying to think what the arrest was for. It was for I don't even know. I know. It was false swearification. So, when you swear to what happened on the complaint form, basically the officer contested what happened. Therefore, they arrest you for false swearing. And it blows my mind that police think that this is somehow that they can do this. But the crazy thing is, there's already New Hampshire Supreme Court rulings that say it doesn't matter if somebody lies or signs to a complaint that is false. It is the obligation of the police department, which again, they're investigating themselves. So can you really trust what they're going to investigate and conclude? No. But basically, it's up to the police department to investigate that complaint and come to a conclusion. And it doesn't matter if their conclusion is that it was, the complaint was false or a lie or whatever. That is not, they cannot retaliate, using false swearing, in that case, even if that is what happened. And because otherwise, think of it this way, people would be afraid to file complaints against police officers. And, just the fact that they, even if that's not a charge that they can win, people don't.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
Facebook under the microscope. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 46 states, along with Washington, D.C. and Guam, suing the social media company, accusing it of using its power in the marketplace to crush competitors.
By using its vast troves of data and money, Facebook has squashed or hindered what the company perceived as potential threats. They've reduced choices for consumers. They stifled innovation. And they degraded privacy protections for millions of Americans.
New York Attorney General Letitia James, the Federal Trade Commission is also suing Facebook, saying it violated antitrust laws for its acquisition of WhatsApp and Instagram. In a statement, Facebook called the lawsuits revisionist history and said Instagram and WhatsApp became the incredible products they are today because Facebook invested billions of dollars and years of innovation and expertise to develop new features and better experiences for the millions who enjoy those products. President-elect Biden's son, Hunter, is the subject of a federal investigation.
In a statement provided by the president-elect's office, Hunter Biden says he learned yesterday the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware is investigating his tax affairs. Hunter Biden says he takes the matter seriously, and a professional and objective review will demonstrate his affairs were handled appropriately. Federal prosecutors have not yet identified details of the investigation. In a separate statement, the transition says President-elect Biden is deeply proud of his son, who has fought vicious personal attacks to emerge stronger. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The House has passed a temporary government funding bill that would avert a government shutdown and buys more time for talks on COVID-19 relief. The Senate expected to take up the measure this week. America is listening to Fox News.
Don't let the smart speaker be the only smart one in the room. Instead of binging on mindless entertainment or letting the news get your blood pressure up, feed your brain a Curiosity Stream. Curiosity Stream has been called the Netflix for documentaries, with on-demand access to thousands of documentaries, award-winning exclusives, and original programs for just $20 a year. You can get smarter entertainment at CuriosityStream.com. Watch anywhere on any device and cancel anytime. Whether it's Roman armor or convective cooking, they go deep sharp on all subjects with nonfiction shows like Amazing Dino World, Pompeii Disaster Street, and The History of Home with Nick Offerman. And with CuriosityStream, you're in good company. It was launched by Discovery Channel creator John Hendricks and has over 13 million subscribers worldwide. Join them right now, and for a limited time, get 25% off when you sign up at curiositystream.com/Fox. curiositystream.com/Fox for 25% off. curiositystream.com/Fox.
Doctors in India think they may be a step closer to an explanation after hundreds of people got sick with a mystery illness.
Indian authorities say more than 500 people have been hospitalized in recent days with an unknown illness. Most have already been discharged, but one man died. Now investigators say they've found traces of lead and nickel in blood samples taken from some of the patients. How the metals got there is still a mystery. Officials say there doesn't appear to be a link to contaminated water. All of the patients have tested negative for the coronavirus. Simon Owen, Fox News.
Pfizer's vaccine for COVID-19 has been approved in Canada. The country is set to receive just under 250,000 doses this month. That same vaccine is close to approval in the U.S., but a lot of people are saying no thanks, or at best, maybe, to getting the shots.
A new poll finds about a quarter of Americans say they aren't sure about getting a coronavirus vaccine. Another quarter say they will not get one, with 70% of those people saying they're
when you're coping with bad news and the news media come calling, and they will, don't clam up. As notorious political figures find out the hard way, the cover-up can be worse than the crime. So get out in front of unfavorable news about your company, your group, or organization, or yourself. The sooner you confront a negative story, the sooner it will be over. Responding as quickly to negative stories as you do to positive ones enhances your credibility. Hiding embarrassing information or lying will do more damage than damage control. Never stonewall. Tell your side of the story, use specifics, and detail what corrective action has already been taken. Respond in kind. If the issue is emotional, don't sound like a cold, unemotional Mr. Spock. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
It's the Onion Radio News. A new crispy snack cracker will ease the crushing pain of modern life. The dull, all-consuming ache of present-day existence will be slightly alleviated when Nabisco's breakthrough T.C. McCrispy's line of crackers arrives today. Available in regular, Garden Ranch, and Zesty Cheddar, the new crackers will flood consumers' bodies with fat, salt, and starch to produce a pleasing sensation of warmth and nourishment, momentarily freeing them from a relentless, crushing sense of profound grief. Mel Krychek is Nabisco's Director of Corporate Communications.
Our tasty new snack cracker will, if only for a few lovely moments, significantly lessen the hideously bleak and empty torment of modern life that festers in every solitary soul.
Nabisco expects most despair-riddled consumers to eat an entire box in one sitting. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. All you have to do is dial in toll free here. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Aria.
And Mark.
All right. So welcome back, Mark.
Thank you. I am back from my scouting adventure trying to find free lands around the globe in an unnamed region in an unnamed country.
Right. So we basically can't talk about your trip.
We can't talk about...
Can we talk about Brussels?
The region. We can. What about Brussels?
Didn't you get detained in the airport?
Not exactly. So I couldn't go to one of the stops on my route because, according to Brussels Airlines, I needed some kind of visa confirmation. Now, I went through that place on the way back. I didn't need a visa confirmation to get there. Brussels Airlines just believed that I did. But they wouldn't let me on the plane. So the nice lady at United, whom I gave a little sampler maple syrup to in a glass shape of a maple leaf, I bring these on trips. So
is it to bribe your way onto airplanes?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
People.
If it works, it works.
Right. What you want to do is you want to invest in gifts that result in better things than the amount of money you spent on them. Right.
Sure.
So these little things are
a real mercenary way to look at a gift.
Yeah, it's not to be nice. It's to benefit you. Got it.
I don't understand.
I wouldn't expect anything else from you, Mark.
I don't know how you people think. I really don't. I mean, like, why else would you bring these gifts?
To be nice.
Yes, you absolutely do want to be nice because nice people get good things.
Wow. Okay, go on with your story.
I bring these little.
Tell me again that I'm the weird one in the room, or that Ian is the weird one.
I bring these little things of maple syrup shaped like maple leaves, in glass, and I hand them out to people who make me happy. And the United.
Okay, so after they make you happy, you give them the gift. You don't just go up to them like, "Here's a gift. Now I need a favor."
No, that doesn't really work very well. I mean, that kind of.
He's been around long enough to try that and fail.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah. Right. So the United lady rerouted my trip. I ended up spending the night in Brussels, and it was
in the airport.
Yeah, it was the airport hotel. So
you did stay in the hotel.
I had the agent, the Customs and Border Patrol agent, whatever they're calling them in Brussels. I don't know. It's probably not in English. And they decide whether or not you leave. He decided I could leave, but the whole city was locked down.
So where are you going to go?
So, go to the hotel and spend the night, which is all I really had time to do. I mean, I had about 12 hours.
So you had to go back through security at the Brussels airport the next day to get on the flight?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went through security a lot on this trip. So, I mean, so often.
How did it compare to TSA when you were going through that?
Frankly, the security at most airports is you don't have to go through nearly as much rigmarole as you do with the TSA. The taking off of shoes is almost exclusively American.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've not seen that in other places.
Now, you have to take your belt off because it sets off the metal detector. But they, in many cases, it's just usually a lot easier. Mostly you have to take your large electronics out, and sometimes they'll make you take out the liquids. But I mostly don't take out the liquids, and they never say anything. So there you go. As far as adventures go, I would say the single worst part was the Customs and Border Patrol, the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol re-entry.
Oh,
I'm
and
not surprised.
At which airport was this?
Newark.
Okay, I've never been through it there.
And I went through secondary.
Oh, I've been through that.
Yeah,
They held me for hours in secondary.
It was not. It was probably not quite an hour for me. But
so they give you a good search through on your belongings during secondary. What happened there?
They went through all of my belongings. And including my cell phone, which I want to talk about here.
Yeah,
this is why you take a burner phone with you when you go through the TSA.
This is the conversation I want to have with Ian because I know he spent a significant amount of brain power on how to handle this exactly. I think there's apps that you can actually sort of have a phone overlaid on top of your phone and then.
That's news to me. I've not heard about that.
No? Okay.
I mean, there could be, but
you can get a burner phone from Walmart for like $40.
Yeah.
The problem though with the burner phone is, you don't have any of your stuff on it, right? So
right.
Go on with what happened to you, and then I can tell you about it.
So the TSA agent was upset that I had a laptop and I had forgotten my plug. I had taken the plug here from the studio with the intent of bringing it on the trip, but I left it in my briefcase. Not
in America,
but I didn't take the briefcase with me, so I didn't.
So you had a laptop that was dead the whole time.
Well, not the whole time. I was able to use it for the first couple of hours or whatever. That I used it for a few hours on the trip, but I turned it off and turned it back on, that kind of thing.
And this would be the laptop that you forgot tonight.
That's correct. Doing very well here. So
I don't understand this mentality of taking all of your sensitive information on your phone and your laptop through the TSA.
Well. It wasn't the TSA that was the problem, it was Customs and Border Patrol. Remember, no other policing agency in the United States can look through your phone or laptop. Only Customs and Border Patrol. whom you will come in contact with when you leave the country. So
this is an interesting discussion, but I've got a potentially more interesting discussion that's on the line. We had a special guest, and we were having phone troubles before the show. We weren't able to get him on right then. So let's bookmark this and come back to the discussion about the laptop and searches at the border and things like that. I want to bring Ronald on the line here. Ronald, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. You're in California, and this is a really unusual interview for Free Talk Live. Number one, we don't normally do interviews. Free Talk Live is a open phone show, so we let anybody call in about anything. It's, over the almost 2 decades we've been doing this program, we've probably interviewed no more than 50 people. So it's very rare that we'll interview somebody. But you're somebody who's had a really terrible situation happen to you on the internet, and you and I spent a lot of time on the phone talking about this person to person. And I thought, you know what, this conversation that we had would have been really interesting to have for our audience, which of course is, a lot of radio stations all across the United States. So you are currently on the air with us here on Free Talk Live, and the hosts in the studio include me, Ian. We also have Aria DiMezzo with us and Mark Edge here in the studio. And as I told you, Aria and I have extensive experience with selling Bitcoin online, and that's what the majority of what we're going to talk about has to do with. But this isn't just a Bitcoin conversation. It's more about getting scammed on the internet and how some of these things happen. And what happened to you, I thought, was particularly instructive and interesting. And I want to say thank you in advance for calling in to be willing to talk about what is ultimately a pretty embarrassing situation. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I want to go back to about a year ago when you met somebody online who ultimately, after a number of weeks of having conversations, would end up bilking you out of not your life savings, but the inheritance left to you by your mother. And it's just an absolutely shocking story. So can you take us back to when you met this person on the internet and what happened?
Surely. It was, I'll never forget, it was a Wednesday evening, November 27, 2019. It was the night before Thanksgiving in last year, in 2019. And I had, 10 days earlier, I had enrolled in a dating site called Match.com. And I was looking for a relationship.
As many of us are. I'm going to have to interrupt you there. We have to stop for just a moment. We're going to bring you back. This conversation could go for. He and I spoke for 2.5 hours on the phone, so I don't know if it's going to last that long on the radio. But stand by, Ronald. We're going to continue with this, and of course, we'll talk in detail about what happened here and how our listeners can benefit from learning about this situation, because this can happen to anybody online. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com. Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com. Free Talk Live.
For the listeners, each talk show has like a, you're in the Joe Blow Army, or, you know, the Ditto Heads. Do the lefties have it too?
I couldn't tell you.
Ed Heads, isn't?
Yep, Ed Heads.
Yeah, Ed Heads. So they all have them. I really want
I'd like
hear
to
from
rename
you.
our listeners Mindless Free Talk Live Zombies. What do you think?
Free Talk Live automatons.
Call in if you're a mindless Free Talk Live zombie.
What does it mean to you to be left? What does it mean to you
Progressive.
to be right? What does it mean to you to be conservative? What does it mean to you to be liberal? I think they're very vague concepts that pit people against one another. Many people who otherwise, in the absence of being able to plaster themselves with that label, might find out they've got an awful lot in common.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want generally, but right now we have a special interview that I wanted to bring to you just because it's so shocking, some of the fraud that goes on out there in just the internet in general. This isn't specifically about Bitcoin. It just happens to have to do with Bitcoin in this particular case. And speaking of Bitcoin, we are actually sponsored by Bitcoin.com. So if you want to learn about cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, you should go and do that over at Bitcoin.com. They've got a section called Get Started. Just click that at the top of the page, and then there's videos, and you can watch just the first one if you need to. It's 2 or 3 minutes long, just a basic overview of what Bitcoin is and what makes it special, what makes it different. And so, this scam we're going to tell you about here with our special guest, Ronald from California, calling in tonight. Actually, we called him, but with our guest, does have to do with Bitcoin. But these are old scams that a lot of them have been around for a long time. They're just sort of new tech that they've applied to them, and Bitcoin's part of that new tech. It used to be done with wire transfers and things like that. And it still is, I'm sure, in a lot of cases. In fact, bankers will tell you they get these things all day long. So we're going to continue with that, but please go to Bitcoin.com, get the basic information about how to get into Bitcoin, what it's all about, what's the difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, things like that. You will learn at Bitcoin.com. Ronald is back with us here. Ronald, thanks for joining us here and getting into what is, I'm sure, a difficult story to tell. You were just telling us that about a year ago you had signed up just before the Thanksgiving holiday in 2019 on the website Match.com. Now, I'm sure this can happen on a variety of dating sites.
Not an indictment on a particular website.
Right. Any site that allows somebody to, pretend as though they're another person and interact with other humans this sort of thing can happen. So
it's also very common on Facebook.
Is it?
It is.
So you said that, and by the way, just for our listeners' edification, you're a man in his 60s. Is that right?
That's right. I was 65 at the time. I'm 66 now.
Okay, so you signed up, you built your profile on the dating site, and how many days was it before this person reached out to you?
Okay, important dates one never forgets. I signed up. I enrolled on the weekend of November 16th, November 17th, and my enrollment, my subscription actually began on November 17th.
Right, you're a paying client. You're not just. This isn't a free service. You bought into it.
Actually, you can sign up for free,
mm-hmm.
and you can have. But I signed up on November 16th, and but I could not pay that night for some reason. My bank blocked the transaction because it wasn't. It didn't recognize that as something that I normally did. So it blocked the transaction, and it took me until the next day, November 17th, to call my bank and talk to the fraud department and tell the fraud department that no, I myself am making this transaction to enroll in Match.com.
Turns out it's the one time a bank's fraud department might have actually prevented you from if you'd have been, if you'd have given up at that point.
Right.
I was thinking about it from a different angle. It's like, it's so nice of them to make you jump through these hoops to spend your money, isn't it?
Yeah. Banks are annoying and they get in the way.
It was irritating. I'll never forget that night. It was a late Saturday night, and on November 16th, and I signed up, and I got a message that my bank was blocking the transaction.
Gotcha. So let's fast forward to where this person contacted you.
Yeah, so the next day I called the bank and I got through and I said, I'm responsible for this. I want to do it. Okay. So that was November 17th. 10 days later, on November 27th, I got what's called a like from Match.com. And that's simply, it's a notification or an alert from the dating site that a woman is interested in talking to you,
mm-hmm.
and it comes in the form of an email. So you have the discretion whether to respond to that like or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I generally you look at the person, and so you get a little picture, and it says in this case the name was Lily. It was used Lily, like the flower.
Okay.
And it said, Lily likes you. And then check her out, see if you're interested. Send her a message. And this is a regular email.
Right.
And if you tap it, then right through if you tap it, it takes you onto the internet. And when you get onto the internet, you can send the person who sent you the like a message and just wait for a response from her. So I made. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say. So basically, you've sort of explained how dating sites work for listeners that maybe have not ever actually tried one of these things. But yeah, so you reached. So this person liked you. You reached back out to. I'm going to put quotes around her, because we still don't know who this person likely was. And that began a conversation that got very deep, right? Like you ended up connecting with this person, or at least so you thought.
Right. Yeah, it was very strong, and it got strong very quickly. And when you're on a dating site, when you meet a person in regular life, if you're a man and you meet a woman in regular life, you don't really know what the person is thinking,
mm-hmm.
And it's so you don't normally start talking about love or relationships right away.
Right.
But when the two of you are on a dating site, both of you know why you're there, or at least ostensibly, you know why the other person is there. You think you know, and so it's a lot easier to start talking about subjects that you wouldn't normally talk to a person with whom you met, a person you normally met right away. out in real life in person. And when you're on a dating site, yeah, it's okay. You know you have permission to start talking about relationships with that person right away because that's why you believe the other person is there. And indeed, that's often true. So in this case, I didn't know it was not true. So we right away we introduced ourselves. We knew what we wanted. I thought I knew the other person wanted the same thing as I. So we started talking about love and romance right away.
Did you start talking about it, or did the scammer? I'm just curious the order of events here.
No, it was mutual. I recall she. No, it was mutual. I mean, whatever we started, whatever it was, whatever we said to each other right away was just hello, nice to meet you, Ron. That's a typical conversation. We'll start out with those words. Hi, Ronald, nice to meet you.
Did she butter you up with a lot of compliments, like that she thought you were really attractive and that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, well, that's you right away. You say you introduce yourself. And you don't even have to say why you're there, but sometimes it's the other person. In this case, the other person will ask me, what kind of relationship are you looking for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get right out there with it, right? Why beat around the bush, right? Because some people are looking for just a sexual encounter. Other people are looking for an actual relationship. And so it seems like a fair question to, filter right up front.
I've definitely got some questions here.
Yeah, so we've got questions. Hang on, Ron. We're going to bring it back here. Ronald is with us from California, and we'll continue with this. It's a detailed story, and it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, how he lost his life savings.
Well, his mother's life savings. Okay. There's more coming up here in moments. You can join us as well. This is Free Talk Live.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Marquette Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Sweet Pea and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynovite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynovite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynovite, I took the advice from Dynovite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynovite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, Hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Generally, you're still welcome to call in, but I don't know when we're going to actually take any extra calls because we're in the middle of an interview with a man named Ronald who lives out in California, and like a lot of people on the internet, he tried online dating. And, you know, there's all kinds of success stories, and there's all kinds of failures, and then there's straight-up scams. And unfortunately, that is where this one ends up going. We're going to continue with that interview here. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Aria.
And Mark.
So we're going to get back to Ronald here, and we're going to continue this story. So, Ronald, just to recap for our listeners, you were you're in your mid-60s. You signed up for a dating website, Match.com, last year, paid for your profile, got on there. 10 days later, you get a like from a purported lady calling herself Lily. And you got into a conversation with her and immediately felt like you hit it off. You started talking about things like love and, you know, sort of deep topics that I presume this went on for quite a while, right? Like you were, I think you told me off the air that you had gone late into the night talking with this person.
We started talking. She contacted me. I'll never forget. It was 6:12 p.m. on November 27, 2019, the night before Thanksgiving. I responded to the like, which was the worst decision of my life. Normally, I would forget about such a moment, but I actually remember the very moment I tapped the email to respond to the like, and I just remember that moment.
Right.
And
well, of course you tapped on it. I mean,
I ever made.
You call it a decision, but I mean, you decided to go on to Match. You made a brave move to introduce love into your life. There's nothing wrong with either of those things. And of course, you reacted to a like on your profile because that's why you're there. So you call it a bad decision. I'm going to have to forgive you for it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I open the email and we start chatting right away, and we introduce ourselves. We establish that we're both looking for lifetime love.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious, was she significantly younger than you?
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
We had kind of a jerky connection there for a second. Was she significantly younger than you?
She told me that she was 48.
Okay.
Not 65.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 48. And so, and that was second dating site I had tried. I had tried another one prior to that, and I didn't like the results. And so in mid-November, I had signed up for that other one in late October of 2019. I tried it for 3 weeks, didn't like the results. So I just decided to try Match.com.
Was she the first
And-
response you got in that 10 days?
No, oh no.
Okay.
I'd gotten plenty of likes, or at least several likes.
Okay.
Before that, and so this was just another one, and a lot of them, they didn't work out. You would respond to a like, and you would have messages. You would spend a few minutes messaging with the other person, and then you would end. You would just never hear from the person again, or you didn't like you didn't like the other person for
That's
one
pretty
reason or
common
another.
on dating apps. I mean, you're just getting a feel for the waters. Like, okay, well, there's nothing going on here. I'm not interested. You move on. I mean, probably half of the messages that I end up sending or receiving, I just never even bother to respond to.
Mm-hmm. So this was the first person thus far that you had felt as though you had a connection with, somebody who seemed interested in you, was spending time talking with you. How long did that first conversation go for that you had?
Well, it started at with 6:12 in the evening on Match.com. We talked for we messaged back and forth for just a few minutes on Match, and within that time, she sent me a message inviting me to go offline onto the regular texting platform, onto the public texting platform.
On your cell phone, you mean? She wanted your cell phone
yeah,
number?
on my cell phone.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was on my cell phone,
Yep.
and she wanted to go. I was using my cell phone, and I was on the internet communicating with her on Match.
Mm-hmm.
And within just a few minutes, she invited me. She asked me if I wanted to go off that onto the regular texting platform through my phone number. And I
for
agreed.
a lot of guys, this would be, this would feel like a step in the right direction, right? To have
Got her digits, right?
Right, you got her number. To have a woman just have that much interest in you right out the gate, to where she's willing to share her number with you, seems like, okay, well, this person's interested.
Yeah, and I think that there's a formula at work here. If I
Yes,
have to,
there is.
if I have to, say so. So she was younger, but not significantly
but
younger.
not out of the range.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't
Yeah.
some 25-year-old with her shirt off.
Right.
It was, a 48-year-old who was believable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and at the time, I was looking. Well, I was hoping to find someone in that age range, in her 40s or 50s,
Mm-hmm.
or even in her 60s.
Sure.
And so it seemed to someone of that age.
How would you rank
when
her
she
on a
was-
scale of 1 to 10 as far as her looks? I mean, to not be too shallow here, but that's what a lot of these dating sites are to some extent based on. What would you rank her?
And look, she sent me a picture right away, and I would, after the initial picture after the picture in the initial like, she sent me a picture. As soon as we got off the Match onto the texting platform, she sent me a picture
Mm-hmm.
of herself. She texted me a picture of herself.
Did she
And I'm
hold on?
looking
Did
at
she
that
not have a
picture
photo
right
on?
now.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did she not have a photo on her Match profile?
There was a little picture that came with the like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a picture of a woman with big light yellow sunglasses, and you really had to look hard to assess the look of the woman.
I see.
Because she had big.
So you never actually went to her profile on Match.com to get a better look?
No, I did. I did not. I just tapped the like.
Went straight to the chat.
That took me from the email right onto the Match.com.
So when she sent you
texting, and then she sent you a picture.
Right. So so when she sent you the picture over the text, what did you think? How did she look? 1 to 10.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I have every still. I have all of our conversations. I saved every text message that ever went between us, and it's more than 2,000. It's quite a bit more than 2,000 messages. And this is the first one I'm looking at it right now. And I would say with 10 on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being the prettiest, say that she was an 8.
Okay.
An 8.
Yeah.
That sounds like it fits the formula.
Yep, fits the formula. So believably pretty, Not too pretty.
Right. You don't want to be unbelievably pretty.
Right. Believable age range.
But you want to still put the bait in the water.
So you still didn't answer the question. How late were you on the phone with her texting that first night? How long did this go for?
Went from 6 o'clock hour in the evening on Wednesday, November 27th, to the 10 o'clock hour on the following morning,
overnight.
Thursday, November 28th, Thanksgiving Day itself.
So you covered a lot of ground. I mean, that's an hours-long conversation with this person.
12 and 4. We messaged back and forth. We texted for 15 to 16 hours straight.
Wow.
Now, what did Lily reveal? What country Lily was in? Did she reveal what country she was in?
Oh, she was actually going to be claiming to be an American, for sure.
Ronald?
So where are you? And she told me that she was in South Africa. She told me she was in South Africa, and she wanted to know right away if that was a problem for me. And if I had just said, yes, that's a problem. I'm in San Francisco, California. How can I have a relationship with you in South Africa? But she did right away. She said, well, I'm here. I'm an American, and I'm here just on business.
Right.
Okay.
So this
presenting
gets
herself as a successful businesswoman.
Businesswoman, yeah, and we're going to get into that aspect of this too coming up here. You know, the money that this woman claimed to have and how she supposedly proved it to dig him in even further. More coming up.
What if you could cut your heating bills this winter with your existing wood-burning fireplace and not spend thousands doing it? You can with Great Wall of Fire fireplace grates. Our U.S. patented made-in-America Wall of Fire grates increase fireplace efficiency, eliminate fireplace smoke problems, and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. See our grates in action and get free shipping from walloffire.com or call 800-274-7364. Fireplace heat without fireplace smoke. walloffire.com.
It's not over. Sadly, our nation is going through tough times again, with no end in sight, and nobody knows what might happen next year. That's why it's a good idea to plan ahead, so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We're My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. We provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, our foods will be there when you need it most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. We have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from. When the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. When you order from MyPatriotSupply.com, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep in no time. Prepare today. Time is short. MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Normally you can bring up anything you want, but right now we're focusing on internet scams. And there are a large variety of these things.
Yeah, and you have to know about this stuff because you can get caught up in a variety of different ways.
Yeah.
What's going on with Ronald here is about the most wholesome thing that you can do, right? Like you're just...
Wholesome?
Wholesome. There's nothing wrong with wanting to go out and find
from
love.
his perspective, right. There's nothing wrong with what he did, right.
Right. So it's, well, I mean...
There's certainly something wrong with what this person, the scam artist, did.
So there was a time in life when the scams were largely played upon people to get them to do something that was, you know, greedy, marginally illegal.
Oh, yeah, something that appealed to their greed or something. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And whereas these days, scam artists have come up with scams that, you know, they'll go after anybody for anything, and it's sad. I mean, you know, good people trying to help other people get scammed.
That's what's going to happen here in this story. It is what I would say is generally the category of a romance scam. And Ronald is back with us here. He is in California. This happened about a year ago, and I always got to recap because we always have new listeners tuning in on the radio, just in case somebody just tuned into the show. But Ronald met somebody on Match.com, hit it off, spent 16 hours or something like that talking to this person over text messaging, which is, you know, seems like you're doing, you know, it's working, right? Like this person is really getting along with you, and she says to you that she is in South Africa, but don't worry, she's from America, and she's going to come back. And Ronald, that's where you left this story off with. Did these conversations with, quote, Lily continue on a daily basis? Were you guys interacting pretty regularly after that first night?
Started a conversation. I referred to her as Lily, and she told me, well, actually, that's not my real name. That's just the name I used on the dating site.
Okay.
And my real name, she told me, is Catherine. And she gave me a name, Catherine Espinoza. She said, that's my real name. And I'm an American from Denver, Colorado. She explained that she was born in Madrid, Spain, that she immigrated to the United States many years ago, or many years before, and with her parents. And she said that... let me just back up. She said that she was born in Madrid, Spain, but that she came to the United States as a young girl, as a teenager, I believe she said, and then she was then at that time living in Denver, Colorado, and she was in the antique business, and that she had bought and sold antiques, and she had gone to South Africa to purchase $500,000, $500,000 worth of antiques, and that was and that her name again was Catherine Espinoza. Well, that seemed legitimate to me. Everything seemed.
Ooh, We're kind of losing the occasional packet from your cell phone. I don't know if you've got the best signal in the world, but most of the time we can hear you and understand you. So you felt like this woman was a successful person. She seemed confident.
I got to be honest, though, because I use dating sites fairly often, just to hook up, though. I'm not looking for a relationship. I have better things to do than that. And if I was talking to someone and they said, oh, yeah, I've come to South Africa on a business trip. I'm about to spend $500,000 buying merchandise. I'm going to end the conversation.
Really? Why?
Because I would have a very difficult time believing that was true.
I'd first want to know if they can speak Spanish. Like in this circumstance, if she claims to have moved from Madrid, and I personally, because I do speak Spanish, I'm going to plumb her a little bit on that. So in order to put the story together, it's certainly not conclusive or anything like that, but if a Spanish speaker can't, if a person named Espinoza moved from Madrid in their teens, can't speak Spanish, you know that you got yourself a problem.
Well, in a lot of cases, you may not be thinking, guys, that you've got a problem on your hands. I mean, you've got what appears to be an interested person.
And that's the thing is that everybody gets skinned in some way in online dating at some point. Maybe it's just the smallest thing where somebody sends you some unflattering picture of a part of themselves or something. Or maybe it's as much as what happened with Ronald. The reason Ronald's on the air is because his story is quite notable. But everybody finds something, like it somehow learns that, people aren't all they say they are here.
Yeah, and that's the part of the problem. I mean, it's easy for you guys to sit here and say, well, I would have done this in that circumstance. But
I did get skinned online with a dating situation, I will say.
Yeah.
I'm
not saying that I can't be scammed. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
we've all been scammed.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying I can't fall for a romance scam. Because we all have blind spots, we all have vulnerabilities, and it's just a matter of a scammer finding that and exploiting it.
Right.
All I'm trying to do is, use Ronald's story here, which is supposed to be instructive. To my listeners that, hey, watch out there.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this.
Is in giving ways that one might watch out.
Yeah, it's just it's hard to think that on one hand. You're on this dating site. You found somebody who seems to be interested in you, but yet you have to constantly question and constantly try to poke holes.
Question.
And it's like in the moment, I'm sure that's the last thing that was on your mind, right? I mean, were you thinking, Ronald, at that time, I should double check this person, I should verify these claims, or were you just smitten with her and you went with it?
At the time, I wasn't skeptical because. I had been on dating sites, either the previous one, which is eHarmony, for 3 weeks, and then I had been on Match for 10 days. No one had ever tried to scam me. I had had conversations with several other women over on those 2 different dating sites. It was exactly 1 month that I'd been doing my dating by then. On the 2 websites combined, exactly 1 month, and 1 month and 1 day, as a matter of fact, and no one had ever asked me for anything of value. All the other women I had come into contact with on the 2 different dating sites were legitimate women. They were,
possible, or you presume. You presume. You never met them.
Any different.
So you wouldn't know.
Right. Well,
at this point in our story, this woman has also not asked you for any money.
That's right. That's coming later. In fact, how long was it between when you first started talking to Catherine before she did ask you for the first amount of money that she asked you for? How long was that?
Okay, that was the next day. The next day. On Thanksgiving Day, November 28th, that Thursday, she said, I have a problem. And this was not in the initial conversation, though. But I will say something very important that happened toward the end of that 15, 16-hour conversation. It was in the morning of Thanksgiving Day, and she asked me to send her a copy or a picture of my driver license.
Ooh.
And at the time, and then she explained right away. She said, I'm asking you for this because I want to make sure that I know who you are, because I don't want to get hurt again.
So did she offer up her driver's license in return?
And I
she almost certainly could have provided one.
Hold on. He said he asked her. Go ahead. Sorry, Ronald. You said you did ask her.
Also.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't totally I wasn't totally unskeptical. I asked her for a picture of her driver's license, and she explained, I was not able to bring all my documents with me from Denver to South Africa. She explained I was advised to bring as few important documents as possible because this is not a safe country. So
that's definitely true. I mean, as far as the claim that South Africa is not a safe country, we actually this was off the air, but actually one of our other co-hosts and I had a conversation with a guy in South Africa who is running a sort of an emergency response service there where people can send out a notice when something bad is happening to them and have people respond to it. And he just described some absolutely horrific things that just happen there constantly to people. So it's an incredibly violent and dangerous place. So that's a plausible explanation, but it's interesting that she would ask you for your driver's license on the
not be able to provide her own,
or the very same first conversation. And what I believe she was doing there is building a profile on you. And
that's why I'm surprised she wasn't able to hand you some random girl's license.
Right, that is surprising to me as well, because I would figure that this person would already have stolen the Catherine Espinoza identity from somebody else and was using that. Stand by, Ronald. You're going to hang with us here through the news. We're going to continue this discussion.
Okay.
So on day number 2, she hits him up for money. We'll find out how much she wanted, what was it for, and how it went from there. More with Ronald here. And, of course, this is Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
Facebook under fire. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The social media company being sued by 46 states, Washington, D.C., and Guam.
Facebook used vast amounts of money to acquire smaller rivals and potential rivals before they could threaten the company's dominance.
New York Attorney General Letitia James. The company is also being sued by the Federal Trade Commission, which claims it violated antitrust laws, and they're trying to force a breakup of the company. Facebook claims the government plan is unfair and would punish a successful business. The House has passed a 1-week extension of funding to avoid a government shutdown at the end of the week and to allow for more time to negotiate another round of coronavirus relief. The Senate is expected to take it up this week. States are preparing ahead of tomorrow's hearing on potential approval of a COVID-19 vaccine.
Tomorrow, the FDA will meet to discuss the potential emergency use authorization of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine. Officials here are aware of 2 UK cases in which people had allergic reactions. Dr. Monsif Slaoui is the Operation Warp Speed Chief Medical Advisor.
Of course, the FDA will make those decisions that tomorrow this will be part of the consideration. And as in the UK, the expectation would be that subjects with known severe allergic reactions should not take the vaccine.
Meanwhile, the military says they're ready to begin distribution, and they're already staging supplies like syringes and alcohol pads in each state. Eben Brown, Fox News.
President-elect Biden's son Hunter has revealed he's the subject of a federal investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware into what he's calling his tax affairs. A source tells Fox News the younger Biden is the subject of a grand jury investigation and that it was predicated in part over suspicious foreign transactions, including in China. America is listening to Fox News.
Life can be stressful, even under normal circumstances. 2020 has challenged even the most difficult times of life. These days, you need stress relief that goes beyond quick fixes. That's Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So, however today's news hits you, Headspace really can help you feel better. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, Headspace has 600,000 five-star reviews and over 60 million downloads. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Fox. That's headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal offered right now. Head to headspace.com/Fox today.
More than a month after Election Day, a congressional race in upstate New York is still undecided after a judge found several irregularities.
Republican Claudia Tenney is leading incumbent Democrat Anthony Brindisi by 12 votes out of more than 300,000 that have been cast. A judge denied Tenney's request to certify the current results, ruling that would require the court to ignore multiple errors by boards of elections. The judge granted most of what Brindisi sought, ordering mistakes to be corrected and that ballots previously not counted be included in the canvassing. In his ruling, the judge had scathing criticism of local election officials who he said failed to follow the law when counting ballots. He also said there was no evidence or even an allegation of fraud. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
We've made significant progress wiring the nation's schools for the internet, but we have to do more. Every child in America should have an internet-capable computer in their bedroom at home, preferably with a high-resolution webcam. I have been to children's chat rooms and have been shocked and disappointed to find they are frequently empty. Even when these youngsters do manage to find their way online, they lack the skills to do something as simple as pinpoint their location on Google Maps. I long for the day when someone can log onto the Nickelodeon Under 13 chat room and type, "Hey, any kids in here like to play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? I have a Nintendo at my house," and be overwhelmed with instant messages. Then I'll know we're doing our job supporting technology in this country.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the second hour of the program. And it is a program of a different sort tonight. We've got a guest on the line, which is very rare for Free Talk Live. With you in the studio, it's Ian.
And Arya.
And Mark.
And the point of the guest is to be a warning to folks out there on the internet, whether you be on these dating sites or in other circumstances. There are a lot of confidence people out there, scam artists, whose job it is, and we believe that these people have full-time jobs doing this.
Some of them are extremely well organized and difficult to catch.
Yeah, and in fact, one of the sheriff's officers that I spoke with about one of these cases, he believes that there's actually state sponsorship of these scams, meaning that there are governments in the world that have boiler rooms of people making phone calls and doing these online scams to fund whatever operations that they have. So this stuff gets pretty deep and it gets pretty crazy. The gentleman on the line here with us here is Ronald. He's in California. He's a man in his mid-60s, and he's kind of recapped how this all got started about a year ago, where he met somebody on a dating website and ultimately, felt that there was a connection with this person. She represented herself as a woman who was 48, sort of maybe an 8 out of 10, he estimates, on the pretty scale. And she connected with him in a way that he hadn't connected with on these sites heretofore. And they spent all night texting one another. She gave him a text message number right out the gate. And then the next day, Ronald, you told us that this woman, claiming to be Catherine Espinoza, a woman who said she was originally from Spain, moved to the United States when she was a teenager, and then at the time she was talking with you, claimed she was in South Africa on a trip to purchase $500,000 worth of antiques. But she needed your help, she said. So tell us what happened then.
Okay, so the initial conversation ended after 15, 16 hours, and I took a break. I had to go somewhere. And when I got back, I was thinking about her, so I started sending her messages and text messages. And I got a response I got a response a little while later, and she might have been sleeping. So the time difference there was 10 hours, if I recall. Mm-hmm. And so figured she was sleeping. And a little while after I started messaging her, I sent her a series of messages, and I got a response after I'd been doing it for a while. And she said to me, "I'm upset, or I'm unhappy today," and I wanted to know why. And by now we had an emotional connection. There had been no request for money. There had been I knew that she was, I believe story that she was an American in South Africa to buy $500,000 worth of antique goods, but we didn't really talk about that. We had not really spoken about that very much during the initial conversation. And so she said, "I'm unhappy." So when she told me in the second conversation that she was unhappy, I wanted to know why. And she said, she was being told by the customs people in South Africa that she had to pay $5,000 for what she called a VAT tax. That stands for the VAT tax, the value-added tax on her antique goods. She said it was a 1% tax. And since the value of the goods was $500,000, she needed $5,000 to pay this value-added tax or VAT tax, and she did not have the money. Now, she explained to me right away that she had money in the United States, but because she was outside the country, she could not access the money. And the whole scam sort of hinged on my being my being willing to believe this premise that she had money in the United States but could not access it from outside the United States. And since she was in South Africa, she could not get to her money. Now, if I had not believed that, the scam would not have happened. It would not have occurred.
Did she bother to explain, Ronald, how it was that she intended to buy $500,000 worth of antiques without any money, or how did that? How did she was explaining that the deal was even going to go through?
She explained that she arranged for all that before she left, that she took out a loan for this. A lot of things that she told me did not make sense in retrospect.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, it was like watching a movie. When you're watching a movie, you suspend your disbelief. Your critical thinking goes into hibernation. At least that's what happened for me.
And certainly that happens when somebody has. I'm not going to say you loved her yet at that point. I don't know, and that's another question. But when somebody has feelings for another person, it's certainly a possibility that they could suspend what level of normal skepticality they might have about a situation. Especially if their friend were telling them about this, they would be very skeptical on behalf of their friend. But when they're the one that's in the situation and being taken advantage of, it's harder to see things clearly. So she said that she'd already arranged for payment of these goods previously, and so she didn't have the money. I guess she claimed she didn't know about the customs that she would have to pay. So she didn't want a gift from you, Ronald. She wanted you to loan her the $5,000, right?
Exactly. Everything was a loan. She never asked for a gift of money. She asked for loan. And if I had, and she said that she had borrowed money before leaving the United States to make the purchase of the antiques in South Africa. And she didn't have any money. This is a contradiction now that I'm thinking about it. But at the time when your disbelief is suspended, you're not using the critical thinking that you normally would have. When you want to believe that someone loves you, and she had already professed love for me in that first long conversation. When you want to believe that, you find yourself not asking critical questions. And so she told me that she had money in the United States, but when she asked me for the $5,000, she told me that she had borrowed money, and she had borrowed most of her life savings or all of her life savings. That she had spent all of her life savings and borrowed the rest of the money that she needed to buy these antique goods. So, but that doesn't make sense when you think of when you put that together with the other piece of information that she gave me, that she had a lot of money in the United States.
Yeah, why would she borrow money if she had a lot of money?
Yeah,
right.
Why would she need to borrow? Well, these are things that I thought about later, but too late.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to be skeptical at the time.
So she said she needed $5,000. How were you supposed to get her the $5,000? What did she want exactly?
She actually we talked about several different methods of getting her that money, but actually the first way she suggested was Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that being the first way she suggested was Bitcoin, but I didn't know what Bitcoin was. I didn't know anything about it. I had heard the term before, and I knew it had something to do with the internet. I believed it was some kind of an online currency, but that was all I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And so she mentioned Bitcoin. We also talked about a wire transfer, and I think those were the two main methods. I was suggesting.
How would she have a bank account to get a wire transfer in the first place?
She wouldn't.
Right. Wire transferring to a South African bank account doesn't make a lot of sense for an American who's just there to buy some stuff.
What I find fascinating is that she clearly wanted Bitcoin. I mean, she wasn't after USD here. She didn't want the $5,000. She wanted this person wants Bitcoin.
That was a suggestion. She didn't really push.
But this person, the scammer, ended up with Bitcoin. It was
later, yes, but not the first time. So what? What ended up happening?
So, and I explained to her, she told me how I could obtain Bitcoin, go to a bank and write a message on a piece of paper. And it was all foreign to me. I didn't want to go through all that trouble.
You ended up going through that trouble, though. Hang on. We'll get to the rest of the story here. Hang on. More with Ronald here, and we'll get into what happened, because this was just the first ask.
Yeah.
There were many more that followed this, and we'll explain all of that coming up. You can also join us at some point. We'll let you in here. It's Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. D-I-V-I Project.org. Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Every year, over 1 million fires burn in America. Fortunately, firefighters are on the job, saving life and property, and you can be a part of it. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers. There's no typical firefighter. Anyone can volunteer to serve their community. Volunteering as a first responder is really about having the heart and drive to make a difference where it's needed most. Your community needs you. Are you ready to answer the call? Learn more and find local volunteer opportunities at MakeMeAFirefighter.org.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Coinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Coinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Coinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Normally open phones. Right now we're focused on one story And that is the story of a man who was taken for a ride on the internet in a major way. We just got into the first request from the scam artist that he met. At the time, didn't know it was a scam artist, but one person purporting to be a woman on the internet who asked him for $5,000, alone, mind you. She didn't want a handout. She's a wealthy businesswoman who was over in South Africa, and she's buying $500,000 of antiques, and she's got this whole story, and we're going to continue with that. But I also want to let you know about Divi. Divi is a cryptocurrency, and it is one that actually allows you to run your own masternode. And what that means is that you are providing special services to the Divi network, and in return, you're given some rewards for that. So it's actually the easiest masternode setup process I've ever been through. That's one of the things they've really done to make Divi special, is make it easy to get into doing the masternodes, which is heretofore been very difficult with other cryptocurrencies. So if you would like to learn more about Divi, get on over to diviproject.org. That's DIVI project.org. That is where you can learn more about Divi and get connected, for instance, with the Divi team. If you want to pick up some Divi for yourself, you can just buy it directly from them. It's a lot easier that way than getting an account on an exchange and jumping through all, the exchange hoops, which you can get Divi on several exchanges, but easier to just go to diviproject.org. You can learn a lot more and get in touch with them via their Telegram channel. That's diviproject.org. We go back to Ronald. He is on the line with us here, telling a story that is, I'm sure, no fun to remember and talk about and admit to having happened to you, because it is embarrassing. And it's embarrassing to admit I got taken. And I've been taken before online, not in a romance scam, but in other various different Bitcoin-related scams. And, even though you might think of yourself as well-spoken or intelligent or whatever, these guys, these con artists, they are very smart. And this is what they do. They work people for a living. And it's not unbelievable that even the most intelligent people could be misled. Ronald, could you tell us just a little bit more? Like, you don't have to get into detail, but what did you do for a living, or do you do for a living prior to this?
Well, I was a variety of things during my life, and I worked.
You're breaking up a bit there, Ron. Can you start over?
You cut out. You cut out.
Yeah, you were cutting out too. We can hear you now, though. Can you just start over with what you're saying about what you've done in your life, briefly?
Obviously, I sold truck parts, heavy-duty truck parts for big rigs, and I did that for quite a few years. And also, I worked for the completely different line of work. I worked for the San Francisco Giants baseball team in the ticket office for a while also. And but now I'm actually involved in teaching English.
Gotcha.
And this is completely different lines of work, but I like to try different things.
Very cool.
And so right now I'm actually in school studying for a certificate to teach English to speakers of other languages. And I'm a college graduate, and that was I studied.
Have you ever been taken before in your life by any kind of scam, or was this your first time?
Yeah, this was my very first time, and it's happened. It was my very first time that a sustained effort to scam me had ever been done or made by anybody. I had never been scammed. I had never lost one penny in any kind of a scam in my life. And I had somebody tried to scam me a few years ago on the phone one day, and I saw right through it right away.
Let's get back to this $5,000 though, because I'm really curious.
So this was the first sustained effort ever to scam me. It was my first experience, and so I knew nothing about how the internet scams operated. And indeed, I had gotten internet access for the first time in my life only earlier that year.
So you were a brand new internet user
in 2019
as well.
Right.
Wow.
As well, that's what made me particularly vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
I had never had a phone, a desktop, or a laptop until April 2019 when I bought my phone. That gave me internet access for the first time in my life.
You mean a cell phone, right?
Cell phone. Yeah.
You hit on
yes, I bought a cell phone, an Apple cell phone in April 2019. It was my first, not only my first smartphone, but
Cutting out just a moment here. Ron,
time.
hold that thought. We're just going to get a better connection. You had a question for Ronald about the $5,000?
Yeah, I'm curious how it was settled upon to send her this money, and I'm curious when he made the decision to send her the money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, repeat the first part of that question. Curious about what?
What method did you settle upon to send her the money?
Okay, a gift card.
Gift cards.
She's going to pay for
right.
the customs with gift
I
cards.
thought it was a wire. I thought of a wire. First, she asked me about doing it via Bitcoin. I didn't know anything about Bitcoin. She explained the process. It seemed complicated to me, so I didn't want to do it. And then I suggested wire, and I don't know. We had a very long conversation about wiring, but we find out. Well, in the end, she suggested gift cards. I didn't even know what gift cards were. As I said, no one had ever tried to scam me. Gift cards are commonly used in scams, and since that had never happened to me, I didn't know anything about gift cards. So she explained the process to me, and that seemed like the most workable method to transfer the $5,000 or via gift card. So
how does that work exactly?
What sort of gift cards?
Yeah. Are we talking about like the prepaid Visa card that you can go and buy at CVS?
Yes. Yeah. At CVS or many other stores have them, including Target.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked, or Walmart. And she asked me if there's a Walmart near me. I said, no, there's no Walmart in San Francisco and none near me. And so it's probably got it. San Francisco has to be the only major city without a Walmart,
right,
or nearby. But there is one across the bay, over in the East Bay, in the Oakland area.
But what was the idea? The idea was you were going to go and get one of these gift cards,
I said
and then
there's
what?
a Target near me. Yeah, I said there's a Target near me, and they have gift cards. Oh, she said that they have gift cards. I said, okay, I could try that. So she wanted me. We agreed. We had like a 2 or 3 hour conversation, and we actually had it. I didn't really want to do this at all. I didn't want to lend her $5,000. I was not all in on this.
Mm-hmm. How did she convince you?
Some critical thinking. Pardon me.
How did she convince you? Yeah.
It's very important in a situation like this. What tries to do is inculcate or build trust in you, and that long initial conversation we had, lasting 15 to 16 hours, we didn't talk about business at all, and we didn't talk about money. We talked about love and trust and love, back and forth on that subject. And this person was trying to build my trust in her. And again, now this could have been a man.
Right.
It really could have been a man.
Because you at no point did you actually speak with her on the phone.
Right. We never spoke on the telephone. It was all...
Hold that thought here.
We spent about 45 minutes. We spent about 45 minutes on Match.
Hang on. We're going to continue here with Ronald and the Scam Artist. It's Free Talk Live.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Sweet Pea and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynovite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynovite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynovite, I took the advice from Dynovite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynovite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agoristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agorist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agoristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agoristhosting.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may, of course, take control of the airways here. Generally on Free Talk Live, our number, if you want to note it down, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We actually had Ronald disconnect because his cell phone was getting kind of janky there, and he said he would be able to call back from a landline, so we're awaiting his return call here. With you tonight, you do have Ian.
And Aria.
And Mark.
And I want to say thanks to John, who is a Free Talk Live Silver Amplifier. John contributes $5 a month to the AMP program. It stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. It as a way for you to get behind what we do here and help Free Talk Live get on more radio stations around the country and bring new internet listeners on board. People who people need to hear about these ideas, and your $5 a month actually helps us make that possible. So thank you to John for doing that, and the other folks who are amplifiers. If you want to join them, you can go to amp.freetalklive.com. That's ampamp.freetalklive.com. We're going to get back into the discussion here. Hopefully we'll get Ron back on the line shortly as soon as he dials back up. But at the beginning of the show, Mark, you were telling us a story that took place on your trip to a place we can't talk about because it's you've got like a non-disclosure agreement or something with this thing.
Yeah.
But you've been going about the planet trying to find free places or create free places, these sort of special economic zones. And you were telling us about how you got secondary searched on the way back into the United States,
Right.
meaning that they said, instead of you just sort of going with the flow and going through the normal customs process.
This is the thing to avoid if you're going through Customs and Border Patrol.
Usually it's not within your control to avoid.
Why did they do this to you?
Well, I didn't find that out until the end.
Okay.
They actually told you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they gave me beat it around the bush. Yeah, he said that it was because of the region that I had visited.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know if that
Not because
region
you're a Free Talk Live talk show host.
Right. I don't know if that region was, the region of Africa that I was in, or the continent of Africa, or, someplace that's not Newark, New Jersey. I don't know what region he's referring to, but in fact, that was his claim. So, he's shaking down my bag. He's tearing through things, and he was as kind as he could be while pilfering through my
for being a thug,
dirty underpants. But he, he found my laptop, which of course is not hidden. I mean, it's
sure they're going to find it.
He came across my laptop. Is probably a better way to describe it. What he found frustrating is that I had forgotten. Me too, mind you. More frustrating than he did, because my frustration lasted two weeks. His frustration was but a moment.
Right.
You
were on a 2-week-long trip and you weren't able to use your laptop.
Right.
Basically.
I'd forgotten my laptop.
I
forgot
the
my
power cord.
laptop plug.
Yeah.
Could you not get a plug from any of these locations that you may have visited?
That's not an easy thing to do. I mean, these laptop power cables are, custom items. They're specific. You don't just walk into Radio Shack.
They're generally PA-21s, and they do have them.
PA-21s?
Uh-huh.
I don't know any about PA-21s. Mine's a high-end Dell, and
it uses a PA-21 then.
It uses a big power supply.
Or it uses one of the USB ones.
It's not USB. It's a circle. Okay, so you can't just plug any old power supply into that.
No, every
round
laptop
hole.
has a very special connector on it. You can't just take an
laptops
HP.
for a decade.
No. It's an average connector. It's the power that goes through mine is greater than most because anyway, you can look at it later and take.
Well, every laptop brand I've ever seen has their own little custom connector for their power brick. So even if the power brick is the same brick, there's a different connector on the other end, and if you don't have the right connector, you're not making a connection. So
I find that to be less true lately, but
okay, well, I've never seen it.
I'm sure it ran through his mind to try some other plug on my laptop, which was not going to happen, I can assure you. There's no way I'm letting somebody just plug any old thing into my laptop and let's see if this works. But my laptop would not turn on because it had been dead unplugged for 2 weeks. And so he was frustrated about that. But at some point he I turned his attention to the cell phone. They're like, well, there's a cell phone there, right? And
presumably,
are you going to look through that too?
Before you get to that, presumably, had he wanted to, he could have confiscated your laptop.
Okay.
Right? And then they could take the hard drive out and, take as much time with it as they want to. But
isn't that the option they give you? You can let them search through your devices,
or they can take it,
or they'll just confiscate it.
I didn't ask about that.
He just sort of let it go. Huh?
The question I had was, can you compel me to give you the code? And he showed me the documentation.
You mean to your phone?
To either.
Okay.
They both have codes. The theoretical opening of the laptop and it being able to power on, which couldn't. But we were having a discussion before he pulls, and I'm like, whoa. I'm not so sure about these electronics here. But he said that he could. And then I sort of remembered, I think they can. Or they have the legal authority to...
He said that they do? Because my understanding, and I'm not an attorney, but my understanding of this is that they have to get you to let them in. And if you don't then they have the authority to take the device and do whatever they want to it. So if you want to... So the idea is, hey, look, buddy... You can leave here with your cell phone and your laptop. You just have to let us in and look around on them. If you don't let us in, well, it's your right to not let us in, but it's also our right to confiscate these devices.
Okay.
So that's how they hold it over your head.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, I would rather keep the laptop and see whether or not I can get,
their spyware off of it.
All right, so we're going to get to part 3 of your laptop story because I think we got Ronald back on the line here. Ronald, is that you?
Yeah, but let me just tell you, at first I tried to call through on my landline, and I can't call through. I can't call long distance on my landline.
So sorry about that. So
I'm still back on the cell phone, and that's why we might hear a breakup again.
No worries. We may get you on our toll. We do actually have toll-free lines, but they're in a different studio, so we'll work on that maybe during the top of the hour or the next break. But so we were talking about being scammed on the internet. You met a woman on or purported woman on Match.com, but you never actually spoke to her on the phone. She then hit you up the next day after you really seemed to felt like you had a connection with her with a 16-hour-long texting conversation. She asked you for $5,000. $1,000, and you ultimately decided to help her with this by getting gift cards. And Arya, did you have a question about this?
I did, because, explaining this process to you of how to get Bitcoin and how to get these gift cards, it's pretty convoluted. At any point in this, did you say something like, hey, let me just give you a call so we can have this conversation more quickly?
Oh, yeah.
What was her response to that?
Contrary to what I've been sounding like so far, I said I suspended my disbelief, but I didn't do it totally. And that was why we had long conversations, very difficult conversations, like a woman, like a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or a husband and a wife quarreling. We had quite a few conversations like this in which I was asking her questions like, well, why don't you call me and we can talk about this on the phone? And also, well, that was the main thing. I was trying to get her to call me, and she always had a reason that she could not call.
Give us an example.
And,
like what kind of reason?
Well, the reason, she said that she. Let me back up. I had her phone number because we were texting.
Right.
So I called it.
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to talk to her, and every time, that was the natural thing to do. Every time I called the number, I got a recorded voice saying the SMS subscriber you are calling is not available. Please leave a message. And then the line would go dead.
Oh, so they were using some texting
mail
service, yeah.
Yeah, so the phone number, it wasn't actually a real phone. It wasn't connected to a phone. It was connected to a text-only service.
Like Text Now or
like
something.
Like Text Now or Text Mail or whatever these things are.
Text Now, right. I later, much later, this year in April of 2020, I found out that Text Now actually had bought that, owned the phone number. It had bought it from a provider called Bandwidth.com.
Mm-hmm.
The number was originally a Bandwidth.com phone number.
Yep.
And Bandwidth sold it to Text Now.
Yeah, these are companies, Bandwidth.com and Text Now. These are companies that allow you to basically just spin up any old number, from what I understand. I've not looked deeply into their services, but
they have a selection of phone numbers that they will let you use, but
Right.
you have to subscribe and you have to do certain things each month in order to continue using the service for free, because these phone numbers, they are expensive for them.
Oh, I'm sure they're not expensive for these scam artists with the money that they're getting in. I'm sure they pay for the premium package. Hang on, Ron. We'll continue here in just a moment. Your calls, we'll get to them later. This is Free Talk Live.
Attention business owners body slammed by overwhelming debt. If your business is in trouble, hassled by creditors, if you're frustrated, finally fed up with big business bailouts while your business has been left for dead, please listen close. There's a brand new fast-track bankruptcy. Some have even called it the biggest small business bailout in American history. Designed for individuals and their businesses. And look, almost no one knows about this yet. My attorney wasn't even aware of it. The truth is, beating the system has never been easy because it's rigged in a sense against the little guy. But here's the jaw-dropping news nobody's talking about. They've literally just changed the system so that you can beat it, but only if you understand how the new game has to be played. Find out if you qualify at pocketsoflight.com. This government-backed small business repair program is still legal, but may not be renewed after the election. Fight back fairly, fight back ethically at pocketsoflight.com.
The stress levels of Americans may be at an all-time high. From education to business to basic needs to politics, the 2020 pandemic-related stressors are pushing many of us to near breaking point. That's why you should consider the stress and pain-relieving products from sunny-bay.com, like our lavender neck wraps and pads infused with premium Washington lavender buds. They relieve tension and relax with a soothing scent of lavender. And lifestyle expert Jennifer Bonner recommends products from Sunny Bay.
Sunny Bay's hands-free neck wrap should be your go-to pain relief solution.
Give gifts to family and friends that relieve stress and pain. Give love and care by giving the best. Give pillows, neck wraps, and body wraps from sunny-bay.com, a Biomed DB design company. Just click sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com.
You need to go, you can go. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
All right, it is Free Talk Live. And normally you can join us here, and normally it's an open phones call-in show, but we've dug deep, or we're digging deep into this really what is going to be, it's a wild story about an internet fraud that involves a person claiming to be a woman in South Africa buying $500,000 in antiques. She's fallen in love with our guy Ronald on the phone here over Match.com. They had a 16-plus hour initial conversation, and the next day she hits him up for a $5,000 loan, mind you, because she's a well-to-do woman and she can certainly handle herself, but she's in South Africa and she needs money to pay for these antiques that she's already bought the antiques, but she's got to pay customs to get them out of the country. So somehow she's going to be able to do that with a Visa gift card, or what I would imagine to be multiple Visa gift cards, right? Because you can't just waltz into Walmart or Target in this particular case, throw $5,000 at the cashier and walk out with a single card. They've got limits on these cards, don't they, Ronald? How many did she end up?
That's right. The highest denomination gift card that I found at Target was $200.
Wow.
Most of them were $100.
Oh my God!
I bought. I believe it was 40-something gift cards that night. It was the night. We met on the evening of November 27th. I went. Let me just explain one thing. She asked me. We met November 27th. November 28th, she asked me for $5,000 for the value-added tax, the VAT tax. She said she had no other way to get the money, but that she could surely pay me back as soon as she came to the United States. This is the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
The person, the scam artist, always has assets or funds, but they're always in a place or in some sort of situation in which the scam artist cannot get to the funds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the person is asking you for money. That's why the person needs your help, because she, in this case, she has money in the United States, but she can't access it from outside the United States, and that's the reason that she needs your help.
Now, at one point in this whole process, she, and I'm putting air quotes around she, because we don't know.
It's always the quote-unquote.
Yeah, she showed you a bank account. When did that happen?
Yeah, I'm getting to that. We're getting close to that at that time. That happened December 1st.
Okay.
So I'm just I remember the dates, and it'd be easier to talk about if I just say the date. That way, everybody will know exactly the time frame during which.
So you went to Target. Let's stop for just a moment. You went to Target with $5,000, and you bought 40 prepaid Visa gift cards because
something
there's a
like
maximum
that, 40-something prepaid.
I feel like the
Visa
cashier
gift
or
card.
someone should have stopped you.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. This is what I'm getting to. We met the 27th.
Yep.
He told me about her need for $5,000 on the 28th, and then on the afternoon of the 29th, that's when we really had the discussion about how I was going to get the money to her. And we talked about gift cards. We talked about Bitcoin and then wire transfer, and we settled on gift cards. So I decided to go to my local Target and buy $5,000 worth of gift cards. I walk into the Target, and I never purchased gift cards before. I didn't know anything about them.
Right.
So an assistant manager, a manager or an assistant manager, I believe it was an assistant manager, approached me, and he warned me. He gave me really fair warning.
Oh, man.
He told me, the gift cards are often used in internet scams, he told me.
Yep.
Do you know this person? Have you ever met with this person? Have you ever seen this person? Have you ever been
Talk
with
to
this
them on the
person?
phone.
Yeah, and this was at the checkout stand. I had not purchased the cards yet. And that's when this young man, an assistant manager, started asking me questions about whether
props
I knew
to
this
him.
person.
Kudos to him.
He
That was
warned
really
me.
good.
Yeah, he warned me. I just wish to God I had listened to that guy.
Wow.
Well, actually, I did. Initially, I did. I wasn't totally believing everything this woman was saying, but I believed him enough to walk out of that Target with no gift cards. I left without purchasing anything, and I went back home.
So how did she
And-
talk you back into it?
Yeah, I told her that I didn't do it, and she got really mad. The scammer got really mad.
All right,
we
get
had
mad.
a long conversation.
Somebody I
Yeah,
met
right.
yesterday is now mad.
Uh-huh.
Right. See, well, I'm with this experience, I'm completely different now. A lot of women have tried to scam me on the internet since then. It's actually 17 or 18 women have tried to scam me on the internet, on dating sites since then. None of them has gotten anything from me. And this is actually going through the same protocol that this first one did. They built
Right.
love.
It's
they built
probably the
trust,
same person.
And then,
Honestly, it's
well,
or,
no,
or their
I-
associates.
I'm very, very sure it was not the same person for various other reasons that probably a waste of time to get into
Sure,
on
sure.
the phone. On the
So
radio
okay,
right
wait
now.
a minute. You dropped the cards. You left the Target. She got
So
mad.
I didn't even take the cards off the shelf. I just listened to this guy. I got very skeptical, and I left.
Okay.
With nothing. I didn't buy anything.
So then
I
she
went
gets
back home.
upset.
That dude deserves
So then
a
I
raise.
called and she said, I texted her and said, did you get the $5,000 worth of gift cards? I said, no, I did not. I want to know more about you. I want to talk more. She gets really mad. We get into our first heated discussion. It was an argument. And I will tell you, she berated me.
I thought you loved me,
for
Ron.
listening to other people. Pardon me?
I thought you loved me. Did she try to guilt trip you?
that kind of thing. But she added to that. She said that you listen to other people. You don't listen to the person with whom you you don't listen to the person you love. These other people don't know anything about our discussions. They don't know what we've said to one another. They don't know the trust and love that we have for one another. They don't know me at all. And that was her approach to me after I told her I didn't buy the gift cards. But we had a long discussion of hours. It went on back and forth for hours. I didn't want to do it. I was really skeptical, and I pushed back really hard against her. And she thought, okay, I give up. You don't have to do it. Just forget about it. I don't need your help. I'll get the $5,000 myself in some other way. And I said, okay, fine. And I just wish it had ended right then, but it didn't. Every time.
That's
she
another
threatened to
tactic,
quit.
though, isn't it? Right? Where
Yeah,
it's
it was
like,
another tactic
I can just
that
walk away from, I don't need your help, and then act like
Right.
you don't matter, and then you
Right.
come back to
but
her.
Of course, if she does that, you don't get the love that she's offering you, right? So that's what keeps you interested. You don't want to lose the love. You don't want to lose the chance of a relationship with her.
So does she
So
threaten
you
ending the
remain
relationship?
interested.
Does she pull a whole, well, there's no point in you ever speaking to me again if you're not going to be helpful when I need it kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I heard that she was texting me goodbye, you say, well, you really don't want to see that word appear on your screen when you think you're in love with a woman. You don't want to see goodbye. And she texted me goodbye once or twice. But the thing is, she never left. Oh, I'm saying she, okay, with knowing that it could have been a man impersonating a woman. But I don't know that, so I'm going to go with she, what I thought it was the whole time.
Yeah.
So she every time she gave some indication that she was leaving, that she didn't need my help anymore, she would not disappear. She would still send me another message to keep the conversation going.
Right, because she was trying to manipulate you, not leave.
Right. Yeah, it was total manipulation. And I see that in hindsight.
Sure.
But what you really needed then is foresight. What I needed was foresight, and I didn't have it because I was still wanting to believe. I still wanted to believe.
You were in a real situation. I mean, for
relationship.
listeners just tuning in, you had never been on the internet before 2019, so you were a relatively new internet user. You're new to email.
Yeah, for only
right?
7 months. I've been on it for just 7 months by then, and I had not used it that much.
Right, so you were new to things like email that
before.
we've had, many of us have had for 2 or 3 decades. You had just gotten into it. You got onto this dating site, and you've had this connection with somebody. So not only were you new and vulnerable on the internet, but you're also vulnerable in that you're a man looking for a connection with another person, as everyone is, right? Most of us, unless you're a psychopath, are looking for a connection with another person.
How many of these dating sites, because I mean, I've heard of Match and all this stuff for a long time. How many of these are just full of scam artists now?
They've got to be full of them.
You guys are on dating sites. Are you getting...
I've been on 4 dating sites altogether now. Match was my second. eHarmony was my first. I never was... nobody ever attempted to scam me on eHarmony.
That's because it's a paid-only service.
There were no women on that site either, so I left and I went to Match. I had all kinds of... I think 7 different women tried to scam me on Match, starting with Catherine. She was the first, and then the last 6 were all unsuccessful because I had the experience of Catherine, the first one.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
She taught you a real lesson. In fact, we're going to continue
she taught me a real lesson.
with that here.
I learned the lesson well, though. I did learn the lesson.
And that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on the show here, Ron. So hang on. We're going to bring you back after the news because this is a big, big lesson. $5,000 was just the first ask.
Yeah.
And it got bigger and bigger, and we'll find out why he kept going and kept going with this.
Sunken cost fallacy is my guess.
That is part of it. And we'll get into it coming up here, and hopefully you can learn from this and not make the same mistakes. It's Free Talk Live.
Maxwell, he was a runaway to rescue, great disposition. About 9 years ago, he was scratching a lot, and he started losing some hair. My vet, she said, oh, he must be allergic to the chicken. Another vet said, it's the grain. Third vet, she says it's the weather, something in the air. And then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. I have been listening to the Dynavite ads, hearing about different stories of different people, and it just clicked. I got my first 90-day supply, and it took a grand total of 2 weeks. And the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Dynavite is nutrition.
And Maxwell loves it. Now he's close to 10. And the Dynavite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
And he's a spectacular dog.
DINOVITE.com.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
Buying time. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The House passes a measure that would keep the government open for a short time.
Facing a Friday night deadline to approve a government funding bill and avoid a partial government shutdown, the House has approved a 1-week spending plan extending current government funding through December 18th. The Senate is expected to approve the continuing resolution this week. Lawmakers have still not settled on an agreement for a full government funding bill or additional coronavirus relief. Congressional leaders intend to combine those two measures into a single piece of legislation. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
President-elect Joe Biden's son Hunter, the subject of a federal investigation. Hunter Biden said this afternoon it was over what he called his tax affairs, but a source tells Fox News the Justice Department is looking into some of his Chinese business dealings and that the investigation began in 2018, a year before the now president-elect announced his candidacy. Hunter Biden issued a statement reading in part, he takes the matter very seriously, but is confident that a professional review of these matters will demonstrate he handled the affairs legally and appropriately. A former presidential candidate reportedly targeted by a foreign government in an effort to infiltrate U.S. politics.
Axios was first to report California Congressman Eric Swalwell was part of a group of Northern California Democrats targeted by a Chinese national named Fang Fang, or Christine Fang. She's suspected of being an operative for China's Ministry of State Security.
Fox's Mike Emanuel on Capitol Hill. Swalwell, a member of the House Intelligence Committee, says he is cooperating with the federal investigation. SpaceX launched its Starship from a remote corner of Texas this evening, but the test flight ended in a fireball at touchdown. CEO Elon Musk is hopeful the Starship could eventually carry people to Mars in as little as 6 years. America is listening. Fox News.
Life can be stressful, even under normal circumstances. 2020 has challenged even the most difficult times of life. These days, you need stress relief that goes beyond quick fixes. That's Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So, however today's news hits you, Headspace really can help you feel better. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, Headspace has 600,000 five-star reviews and over 60 million downloads. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Fox. That's headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal offered right now. Head to headspace.com/Fox today.
Another approval for one of the COVID-19 vaccines that's been fast-tracked.
The COVID-19 vaccine made by Pfizer and BioNTech is authorized by Canada's health regulator Wednesday, days ahead of possible approval in the United States. The vaccine, which has an efficacy rate of 95% after 2 doses, according to drug makers, has already been approved by the United Kingdom and Bahrain. Canada is set to receive up to 249,000 doses this month, at least 20 million of these through 2021. And people there could start getting the shots within days. The country, which has secured enough potential vaccine to protect its people 4 times over, has contracts with 6 other vaccine makers. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
California reverses course.
It's the Onion Radio News. Starbucks begins its sinister Phase 2 of operation. This is Doyle Redland reporting. After a decade of aggressive expansion throughout North America and abroad, Starbucks suddenly and unexpectedly closed its 56,423 worldwide locations today to prepare for what insiders call Phase 2 of the company's long-range plan. Cynthia Valcamp, Starbucks head of marketing, made this brief statement at a press conference earlier today.
We have enjoyed furnishing you with coffee-related beverages and are excited about the important role you play in our future plans.
Existing Starbucks franchises across the nation have been shuttered with high-strength titanium, and the well-known Starbucks logo has been slightly altered to present the familiar mermaid figure as a cyclopean mermaid whose all-seeing eye forms the apex of a world-spanning pyramid. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
The only nation where this regularly happens concludes that there's no way to prevent this. A college rape victim is pretty thrilled about recounting her assault to a faculty committee, and the nation's depressed individuals march on the Atlantic Ocean. This is the Onion Week in Review. Secretary of Veterans Affairs Eric Shinseki announced plans this week to improve healthcare for American veterans with a new $500 million state-of-the-art waiting room. The 150,000 square foot complex will reportedly feature a wide selection of magazines, 2 water coolers, and receptionists who will immediately give veterans vague answers about how long they can expect to sit there before receiving inadequate healthcare. And in this week's commentary, a local man finds owning a cat is a great way to meet women who magically appear in your living room. In other news, a new study finds employee morale drastically improves after watching a coworker throw a fit. A wise oracle proclaims to all at a barbecue that he felt a raindrop, and an elderly man is hailed as alert.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and we've got a special interview that we've been conducting here tonight about a pretty serious topic that really can happen to a lot of people, and this is just one of the various scams. We're talking about what's called the romance scams, various scams going on the internet today. You meet somebody on a dating website, you get what feels like a connection to that person, even though you've never actually spoken to them. It sounds unbelievable until it happens to you.
Yeah, I would like to remind people that I'm sure we have thousands of people right now saying they're going, oh, that could never happen to me. The number one way to guarantee that it happens to you is to believe that it
could
can't
never happen to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Ian, Arya, and Mark here in our studio. We've got Ronald. He is the victim of this particular scam. And as you say, Ronald, your whole life, you'd never been taken for anything, not even a dime, until all of a sudden you met this woman claiming to be Catherine Espinoza on the internet, who then said she needed $5,000. She's a big antiques dealer. She's in South Africa making a big deal for $500,000 worth of antiques, but oops, she forgot to bring an extra $5,000 along to pay the customs officials with. So you agreed to go and purchase a bunch of gift cards for her at
From
the
Target.
local Target.
In some manner, she was going to use these to pay off a customs agent in South Africa.
Which still remains to be seen how that would work. But
it wouldn't make a difference. I mean, all you have to do is, take your point and believe it thoroughly enough.
Well, third world countries, maybe they would take gift cards, right?
So the Target employee talked you out of it. You went home. She got angry.
Right.
And she, started trying to psychologically manipulate you. But at some point, you agreed to go back.
Yeah, and it was that evening. We argued about it for 2-3 hours after I had returned home after deciding not to buy any gift cards. So I was skeptical. But as it turned out, I again suspended my disbelief after that second long argument.
You really wanted to believe that this person cared about you, was interested in you, and she had promised, didn't she promise that she was going to come and be with you after she got done there in South Africa?
Yeah, that was the hook. That is, first of all, we argued before the first time I went to Target. I gave in and I went. The assistant manager there talked me out of it. I left with no gift cards. I went back home, contacted her again, and we had a second long argument about it, in which she berated me and saying that I was capable of being influenced by other people and not believing the trust, not trusting her. And I felt bad about that. And finally, late that night, I agreed to go back to Target, which closes at midnight. So I guess it was in the 10 o'clock hour that night, after we'd been arguing about it for 2-3 hours in the second argument, I agreed to return to Target and buy the gift cards. And that time, I really did buy the $5,000 worth of gift cards. And that was the beginning of the end of my money, that $5,000 purchase of Target Visa gift cards.
You walked out of Target with 40-plus gift cards of $100 to $200 a pop or something like
100,
that.
yeah. Some were 50, but some were 200, but most of them were $100.
And then what did you have to do? Did you have to give her all of the card numbers, the 16-digit long card numbers and expiration dates?
The way it worked, exactly. She instructed me. I had never had any experience with gift cards before that. Okay, so I just didn't know a lot about a lot of stuff.
Well, you learned the hard way. So you gave her all that information. You sat there
I didn't know about romance scams, and I didn't know about gift cards.
And so you typed in over text, Ronald. So you do. So we're gonna have to speed the conversation up a little bit because we're actually in our third hour here, and all we got is 3 of them. So you typed out over your text messaging all of 40 plus, however many of these gift cards you got.
I texted her each gift card one at a time, front and back. Of each gift card.
Pictures. You took pictures of them.
Pictures. Yeah, I took pictures and texted. I took a picture of each gift card and texted it to her, and then she said that she had a way to convert the gift card information to cash right there. So that would be good enough for her. That was why gift cards were a solution for her.
When did she hit you up for the next amount of money, and how much was it?
The very next day. The very next day, we did it. We finished the gift cards. I purchased them on the 29th of November. On the 30th of November, early in the morning, I finished texting them to her, and I thought it was done. And she promised that she would come to the United States as soon as I paid the $5,000 for her. She would pay off the VAT. She would pay the VAT tax with it, and then leave South Africa and come to San Francisco, fly directly to San Francisco, and meet me at the airport. And she would stay with me as my woman. That was the foundation of the whole scam that I was going to get.
Did you ask her what she was going to do with $500,000 of antiques at your house?
Well, she would ship those somewhere else.
And how the hell was she going to fly to San Francisco?
That came up shortly thereafter when I asked her, where are you going to ship them? She said, I want to ship them to your place, and I want to ship them to your place. And I told her, well, I don't have enough room here for all those antiques. And then I came up with a solution to store them at a local public storage place after they had been shipped to my house.
What was your question going to be, though, Mark? You were going to ask a question.
If she's going to fly to San Francisco from South Africa, that would suggest that she's buying a ticket with no money rather than going back to Denver, where she's from.
Where she presumably already had a round trip ticket to.
Right. Well, she said that she was going to fly to San Francisco, and that doesn't make sense.
The presumption was that she had a round trip ticket to come back.
All right.
Okay, so that was never an issue about how she was going to buy a ticket to get here. But that was a presumption. Of course, it wasn't true, but that's what I believe.
So she hit you up for more money the next day. How much was the second request?
So after we did the $5,000 on the 29th, on the 30th, she asked me for another $3,350, also in gift cards, for airport expenses, for luggage expenses at the airport. That was it. She wanted $2,850 for airport expenses, and another $500 just in case something came up at the airport, something unforeseen came up at the airport, and she would have an extra $500 to cover it. So that was $3,350. So I went back to Target and I bought $3,350 worth of gift cards, same Target Visa gift cards, and I came back home and I texted her pictures of them, and she converted them to cash.
Okay.
And then always she wanted the receipt. She always wanted me to also to text her a picture of the receipt for the purchase. So I did that for the $5,000. I sent her the receipt, and I sent her the receipt of for the $3,350.
Okay, I know why. I know why she wanted that. So, the reason why is when you buy a gift card on the internet, there's websites. So I've not bought these gift cards before, but I have used Bitcoin to purchase a gift card. There's a website called Redeem. It's spelled with 3 E's, REDEEEM, and they will sell you like you can get an Amazon gift card there, for instance. You can get them for up to 25% off, and the person shows you the receipt to prove that they bought the card, right? Like that they didn't just get this number from somewhere else, that they have, legitimately purchased this card. So she, the scammer, was probably taking your receipt photographs, selling those gift cards on websites to purchase Bitcoin. So I bet that's what she was doing with them.
Selling the cards online, selling the gift cards online to purchase Bitcoin.
That's what she was doing. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's what she was doing.
And she had to prove purchase. She had to prove purchase of the gift cards, and that's why she wanted the receipt.
Correct.
That's what you're saying.
Yep.
So, okay, that's legitimate. She always impressed upon me, you must send me the receipt. You must send me the receipt.
If you don't send the receipt, if she doesn't have the receipt, she won't get the deal. The deal won't go through online. So that was an important aspect for her to get you to do that. All right, so now you've bought over $8,000 worth of gift cards for her. Then what?
Okay, That was on the 30th of November. The next day, on the 1st of November, the third day in a row now, she asked me for another amount of money. She asked me for $8,300 worth of gift cards on the 1st of December.
Now what's the excuse? What did she cook up for this one?
Now that was so the $5,000 was for a value-added tax. The $3,350 was for airport expenses and an extra $500 for spending money at the airport in case you needed it. And the third day, that was the 29th of November, 30th of November, and the third day was the 1st of December, and that was when she asked me for $8,300 because she told me, I have another problem. The hotel where I'm staying, or motel, there was a hotel where I'm staying, has my passport and will not release it to me because I owe money for my stay.
Hold on.
I have to pay for
Ronald,
my
we'll get the rest of the story on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
All right.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
Maxwell, he was scratching and losing some hair. My vet, she says, oh, he must be allergic to chicken. Another vet said, eat the grain. Third vet said, it's the weather. Then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. It took 2 weeks, and the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out. The Dinovite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
Besides, we just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you.
Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. We would give you the phone numbers out because normally this is an open phone show, but tonight we are focused on one interview, and that is with Ronald. He is a man who was new to the internet as of 2019. Amazingly, as I've said before, there are people out there that they don't get online. And, not to say that being online for 20 years makes you necessarily immune to scams. It sure as hell doesn't.
You would have gotten an email in that time from a Nigerian prince. Yeah. And at least have some, sort of savvy.
Well, they're pretty good at filtering the Nigerian prince emails these days. Those usually end up in your spam folder. But I've been on the internet my entire life, basically, up until, I think I got cable modem when I was 16 in Florida in the mid-1990s. And I've been taken by online scams, not like this, not romance scams, but other variants of different scams online, and it's always an embarrassment to admit, I got scammed, and this one is a major one. And one of the questions we were just talking about, Ron, during the break here was, at any point, you've just kind of taken us through the first 3 or 4 days of talking to this person online who, had this, what felt like a connection to you. You spent a lot of time talking with her, and it felt good and it felt right. And then things got weird when she asked for money and wanted you to go and get gift cards, and you got talked out of it by the manager of the store, but ultimately you went back. You were persuaded by this manipulative person to go and do this. At any point, had you told her the amount of money that you had access to from your mother? Because we hadn't revealed at any point during this interview how much you actually ended up losing. I don't think we said it on the air yet, but it was hundreds of thousands of dollars in the long run to this scam artist. Did you, during your conversations with her in those early days, ever say, when she was talking about how big moneyed she was and how much money she had and how she was a successful antique dealer, did you say, "Oh, my mother left me a very large inheritance of X $100,000"? Did you drop that information on her at any point?
I never told her exactly how much money I had, never. But later on, in December, weeks into the scam, I did tell her that it was my inheritance that I was draining to lend her money.
So in the early days, she didn't know. She was just testing the water. She dropped $5,000 out there. You took it. You gave it to her. She did another 3. She went for another 8. So she was just trying the low numbers just to see how you would react and what you would do. She didn't know necessarily how much she could ultimately get from you at that point.
Right. That's right. Because she didn't know how much I had, and I made it a point not to tell her that.
Yeah, I think the most important part here is that it's that first amount. So once you put that first amount in, there's always the hope that this person's telling the truth and they're going to pay you back. Because she always talked about how she was going to pay back. So at first she needed $5,000 for a VAT tax,
right?
To get the antiques out of South Africa, and then she needed the next was airport fees, and the next was hotel fees,
right?
And a variety of things,
and then hotel fees, These all sound legitimate. If she's in a hotel in South Africa, where she has to pay a bill to get out. So when she said they were holding her passport pending payment of the bill, that made sense to me. It was plausible. Every excuse she gave me had some degree of plausibility to it. And when you're already suspending your disbelief and someone gives you a plausible story,
someone who's special to you, somebody who you want to be with,
rich and attractive, and owes you money.
Yeah. Now,
right.
Let's jump forward some more. You got her the other. So with the $8,000, she wanted more gift cards. You went and you got her more.
So she wanted $8,300 to pay her hotel bill, and of course, every time she asked me for a loan, she said, "As soon as you send this, I will hop onto a plane and fly to San Francisco and be in your arms."
Mm-hmm.
That was her expression. I heard it over.
But weeks later, she was not in your arms. She never did.
Well, right. That never happened. That part never happened. But that was always the promise, and often in the same words. I can't wait to be in your arms. I have to be in your arms.
After the $8,000, how long before she hit you up for the next amount? Because it was the next one where I got involved, right?
Right. So it was. So the third amount of for $8,300 worth of gift cards, and after I sent that, and every time she asked me for an amount of money, she swore that would be the last loan she would request from me.
Mm-hmm.
If I would just pay that one more, she would be free to leave South Africa, and she would come to me in San Francisco. So every time I took out a loan for her, I believed that it was the last time. I wouldn't have to do it again. I wouldn't have to spend any more money each time.
But then she asked again.
Right. And so how long between
right after that, she would ask again.
So the 8,000 was on like December 1st. Then what?
Very important. Yeah. I sent her $8,300 worth. I bought $8,300 worth of gift cards for her on December 1st. And that day in the afternoon, before I went to Target to buy the gift cards, she gave me a bank account number for Citizens Bank, and she told me, and she gave me the bank phone number, a bank account number for a checking account, and the last 4 digits of a tax ID number. And she told me to call that bank, and she gave me instructions to navigate through the phone's automated system. And she told me, do this, call this number, listen to the balance. I'll tell you how to do it. Press 1, press 1 again, and then you'll hear the balance. And then call me back, and then text me back the amount of money in that account after you hear it.
Now, Aaron, you've got some experience and knowledge about this particular bank account.
Yeah. When you told me about this, Ron, because again, as for our listeners, you and I talked about this for 2.5 hours on the phone. When you told me this, I was like, oh my God, I've heard this same, because I've seen a bunch of scams on the internet, and I didn't recognize the number, but I recognized Citizens Bank. I'm like, I know what this is. And so the point of this, her giving you this information, was to make her look more legitimate. You're already into her for $16,000, at this point, and she's going to hit you up for more. So she wants to convince you that, hey, I'm really this millionairess, right? Like, I've got all this money. How much was in the bank account?
To give her credibility. It was all to give her credibility. And the amount I heard in the automated system was $51 million plus. 51 million, some $100,000, some $100, even down to the cents.
Now think about how persuasive that feels, right?
Was it? Yeah.
It
really was.
You didn't believe this lady, or you were skeptical, and then she gives you all the numbers you need to call up and listen to a bank tell you $51 million are in a checking account.
$51 million in her personal. It was in a personal checking account.
But that's where she told you a lie.
Her father.
So she told you a lie about that because it wasn't a personal account, I suspect. I think I know which account it was because I've come across the same thing. I had a person scamming me. Now, again, it was a different type of scam, but they gave me information about their supposed bank account at Citizens Bank, and I ended up actually looking up the bank account. This scam didn't work on me, but I looked up the number. I'm like, what are the odds that somebody will put their bank account number on the internet? Very, very slim, right? You shouldn't put your bank account information on the internet. But I just figured, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pop this on a search, and I'm going to see what comes up. And what came up was a law firm and a PDF that this law firm had published related to some case or whatever it was. And in this PDF, the law firm had payment information as to how to pay them into their bank account. And this law firm, when I called the number and went through the process that Ron also went through, had like $20+ million in the bank account. So I suspect that it's the exact same bank account, and that this law firm has no idea that there is a group of scam artists on the internet. Stand by, Ronald. We're going to continue with this, giving out their information. They got their tax ID number, so they were able to you can get into this account easily. All you got to know is that tax ID. There's more coming up. Last 4. And I don't know what happened with our music bed there, but we're supposed to be in the middle of a break. So we're going to keep doing a quick chat here. We may still be on the radio right now. I'm not sure about that. We don't want to give you too much information that we're going to have to repeat coming up here when we come back in. Hopefully everything's all right there at our network studios, because normally they would have noticed that we're in break by now and cut right in with whatever commercials are supposed to be playing.
Don't some stations just immediately come in with the commercials? I mean,
some stations? No, it would be the first minute is a network minute, so we're in the middle of our part of the break right now, and then presumably the local stations will kick in here in about 20 seconds or so, and And then we will definitely be off the air if the local stations do that.
Well, that'll be good at least.
Yeah.
We don't want to set off the little lights flashing and the sirens and
silent
radio stations
sensor
across America.
Right. So we'll continue here. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Special episode here, interview piece. Deep, sad interview that hopefully will be instructional to people out there. And as I told Ron, we've got, we're a talk radio show. So we've got a lot of, talk stations that are airing this show across the United States. And their audience does tend to be older. Their audience tends to be 55, 65,
and I'm
70.
And I'm afraid that's the target.
Yeah,
for
of the scammers.
Of scammers generally, and romance scammers are
especially the romance scammers.
No difference. I mean, male, female, they're out there and they're, they want the money and they're willing to exchange time and chatting.
They got all kinds of time, right? If you think about it, if they hit 1,000 people and one of them falls for it, and they can extract just a few $1,000s from that one person, they're set for the next however many months, right? They're in Africa or something like that, where the rent is not going to be that high. So, one victim takes them through most of the year, probably.
Right.
And they can do better than one, I'm sure.
And, Ron's fatal flaw here, to begin with, is sent money without ever speaking to this person.
Even if you'd spoken to the person and it was a she, it still wouldn't have helped the situation. I mean, it would have made you feel better.
It narrows things down dramatically.
Yeah.
So if you're dealing with somebody who, like she claimed to be a Spaniard who moved to the United States in her teens and lived in Denver, Colorado. So now you know that it has to be a female. They have to speak English. They'll speak it with a Spanish accent. And like this gets much harder for an African scammer to pull off.
I get what you're saying, but the best that you could do, or even if all those things matched, it doesn't mean you're not getting scammed.
It just means that. No.
It just means that you didn't catch them in a lie in that particular case. And a scam artist is likely lying from top to bottom.
Yes.
But that said, as far as giving loans to people is concerned, I mean, I've given out my share of loans I've given out a share of loans in my life and almost always regretted it, especially when it comes to loaning money to friends.
Because a loan within the first 24 hours.
Yeah, but even loaning money to friends, I've seen friendships be destroyed over loans and people not paying them back. So even loaning money to people doesn't go well, particularly well in general. Loaning money to somebody that you've had a phone conversation with is probably not a good idea, just in general, period. If you don't know the person face to face and have had a relationship with that person, you don't have collateral or anything, there's all kinds of reasons not to give somebody a loan, period. But Ron was in love, and he was feeling a connection to this person. And so we're going to get into the worst part of this story. So, Ron, you had been, obviously you were concerned, right? Like you'd been told by people that this might be a scam. The manager at the Target had a conversation with you and talked you out of it temporarily. You ended up going back and spending over $16,000 over a period of days on purchasing gift cards for this purported woman. And ultimately, she wanted you to feel better, so she gives you this bank account information, purports that it is her bank account, and gives you what felt like access to her phone banking system, which you did technically have access to that bank account's phone banking system, the Citizens Bank system. All you have to know is the last 4 digits of the tax ID and the account number. And you can go in there and you can listen to whatever the balance is and all the transactions that have happened on the account. No problem. So what the scam artists did was they have had this bank account. They found it somewhere online. It's a law firm's bank account, so there's always some high dollar amount that's sitting in it. In this case, when you called it, it was $50+ million that was sitting in this bank. Yeah, $51 million sitting in this bank account. And so you're feeling at that moment, you must have been feeling relief, right? Like, oh my, okay, she's being honest with me. She really does.
Oh yeah. That opened the floodgates to my trust. Once I heard that, I decided I'm going to trust her. When I heard $51 million and I reported it back to her, and she said, "You see, I told you I was telling you the truth. I have this money. It's in the United States, and I will pay you back." She even promised. She even said she could pay me back double after she returned to the United States. Once I heard that amount, that was my turning point.
It was also too good to be true, right? Why would she pay you back double?
That was the turning point that sent me on the path to perdition or oblivion.
Yep. Because then the numbers got a lot bigger. She wanted to get tens of thousands of dollars from you at that point per
every
purchase.
Request after that, almost every request after that, was for tens of thousands.
What were the requests for? So, I mean, at this point, we've heard
hotel,
airport fees,
VAT taxes,
VAT tax, and these sorts of things. But what is?
Okay, the next request came a few days later on December. The first 3 were the November 29th.
Yeah, we don't need to get the recap. We don't need the recap.
No, we are running out of time.
Yeah, we got to move forward.
You got that? Okay, just wanted to make sure so you know the timetable of this. The next request came on, I believe, December 4th or 5th, December 4th or 5th or 6th, and that was for $25,000 for insurance to ship the antique to the United States. Shipping insurance to the antique. So everything seemed legitimate. He had an excuse, a plausible excuse.
Right.
But she had a different way of you delivering this $25,000.
Right.
This time she wanted Bitcoin.
We didn't want, I don't know, I don't remember. I didn't want to go through the gift cards anymore. It was a lot of trouble to go there.
No kidding.
Back home. It took hours to send her pictures of the gift cards one by one. I didn't want to do that anymore. So that was when I suggested wire transfer. or we agreed on wire transfers for the $25,000 for quote unquote shipping insurance for the antique. And so it seemed like a legitimate request, a legitimate reason to want money. $25,000 seemed like a lot, but again, I didn't know anything
it's
about
$500,000 worth of antique equipment. Yep. Why not $25,000?
And she's got $50 million in the bank.
Ships sink all the time. You know?
Yeah.
So how did it end up going from wire transfer to Bitcoin? How did she end up flipping you there?
Okay, so for the $25,000, I took out $25,000 and I wired it to her, and then I got cold feet about right after sending the wire, and I decided to recall the wire. So I was still trying to be skeptical, so I recalled the wire and I got the money back.
Mm-hmm.
I got all $25,000 back in a few days. We had a big long fight.
She got mad.
That.
Yep.
Oh,
where's my money?
Yeah, right. And she really got mad. But I wanted it back because I even though I heard about the $51 million in the bank account, I was just afraid of losing $25,000.
Sure.
So I recalled it. I got it back, and that was around December the 12th, so December 13th or 14th. I got the money back, and then we fought for about 4, 5, 6, 7 days. We just argued about it, and finally I gave in again. And so on December 19th, after I had gotten my $25,000 back from the bank where she had me wire it, I brought it back to my bank and I wired it again. So, I mean, I was warned originally for that $5,000 at Target by that assistant manager. I listened to him initially, but then I gave in and I went back to Target and I bought the $5,000 worth of gift cards after all in the end, back in late November. And the same thing in principle happened with the $25,000 in December. I sent it, I recalled it, but then we argued about it for days. She convinced me that she was legitimate, that she really would pay me back. So I went back to the bank and I wired it again. I wired the $25,000 for a second time, and that time it went to
whose account did you wire that?
What account?
Yeah,
that's what I'm telling you. At that time it went to the business. She instructed me to send it to a business checking account for a place called Route 101 Goods in Allstead, New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second time I sent the $25,000. The second time I wired the $25,000.
And that's where I was involved, because Route 101 Goods is the store that was run by our co-host, Chris Reitman, who used to be on this show on a regular basis. He's busy running a new store since then. And we're going to, I'm going to hit the fast forward button on this this story since I got involved here. Stand by, Ron. We'll continue here in just a moment. And wow, what a story. Hundreds of thousands of dollars lost to this scam artist. It's Free Talk Live.
Attention business owners body slammed by overwhelming debt. If your business is in trouble, hassled by creditors, if you're frustrated, finally fed up with big business bailouts while your business has been left for dead, please listen close. There's a brand new fast-track bankruptcy. Some have even called it the biggest small business bailout in American history. Designed for individuals and their businesses. And look, almost no one knows about this yet. My attorney wasn't even aware of it. The truth is, beating the system has never been easy because it's rigged in a sense against the little guy. But here's the jaw-dropping news nobody's talking about. They've literally just changed the system so that you can beat it, but only if you understand how the new game has to be played. Find out if you qualify at pocketsoflight.com. This government-backed small business repair program is still legal, but may not be renewed after the election. Fight back fairly, fight back ethically at pocketsoflight.com.
The stress levels of Americans may be at an all-time high. From education to business to basic needs to politics, the 2020 pandemic-related stressors are pushing many of us to near breaking point. That's why you should consider the stress and pain relieving products from sunny-bay.com, like our lavender neck wraps and pads infused with premium Washington lavender buds. They relieve tension and relax with a soothing scent of lavender. And lifestyle expert Jennifer Bonner recommends products from Sunny Bay.
Sunny Bay's hands-free neck wrap should be your go-to pain relief solution.
Give gifts to family and friends that relieve stress and pain. Give love and care by giving the best. Give pillows, neck wraps, and body wraps from sunny-bay.com, a Biomed DB design company. Just click sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us online at freetalklive.com. If you like what we're doing here on Free Talk Live, you can amp the show for $5 a month. Go to amp.freetalklive.com, and you can head over there and do that. We've got credit card, debit card, and Bitcoin as payment options. You'll get some cool perks, some bonuses, some benefits.
Send us Bitcoin. You won't get it back.
Right. You're not loaning us this money. You're sending it to us. We're going to use it to get on more radio stations so more people can hear the ideas of freedom. And in this case, the ideas of how to avoid being scammed on the internet, which, of course, step one is if somebody claims that they need money from you, just tell them no. You know, if you've never met them, even if you do know them, you probably should say no.
Yeah, because there is a fake Ian running around.
That's true. There's actually an imposter on Telegram pretending to be me.
And they're trying to create one of me.
Yeah, and trying to bilk people out of Bitcoin, pretending to be me because I do things with Bitcoin. And so they'll hit up people pretending like they're me and say, hey, I ran out of Bitcoin today at the vending machine here in Keene. Can you front me some Bitcoin? I'll get it back to you. So, there are people out there pretending to be me, and I suspect there's scammers out there now pretending to be you, Ron, because at one point you sent them your ID and photographs, right. and so there's probably some scammer out there pretending to be you, hitting up a lonely old woman out there somewhere, and because you're a handsome guy, trying to get money from these old retired women. So that's probably what's going on. So I'm going to try to condense this story as best I can, because we've been in this for literally the entire show for the most part, and it's a fascinating story, and one that I really hope people can learn from. So you You got hit for over $16,000 in gift cards by this purported woman who's making it sound like she needs this for all these things she forgot that she would have to pay for when she buys $500,000 worth of antiques in South Africa. She's going to come back to you. She's going to make love to you. She's going to be your woman, and she's going to pay you everything back. And she showed you this fake bank, or a real bank account, but it wasn't really her bank account, but you didn't know that. It's set up in a way you don't hear the name on the bank account.
It's a fake
right?
bank account.
It's a real bank account with real money in
I
it.
did not hear the name on the bank
But
account.
yeah, but it wasn't hers. And so ultimately, she then asks you for $25,000 to wire it to an account run by Route 101 Local Goods. Well, that's our friends who I was working with to sell Bitcoin online on a website called localbitcoins.com. You didn't know anything about Bitcoins, but yet your online lover was instructing you to do certain things, like write on the wiring receipt words about how I so-and-so am buying, this amount of Bitcoin from FTL Ian on localbitcoins.com and no refunds. And while you were doing this, what was going through your mind?
No refund. It never said no refund. That was not part of the message I had to write. That was never part of it.
Okay.
And she later claimed that she told me that she told me at the time no refunds. She never did tell me that at the time. I have all the bank slips still, and the two words "no refunds" is not written on any one of them.
Interesting.
I understand that this cannot be reversed or.
So what were you thinking, though, about having to write all these words about Bitcoin when you just thought you were sending her?
I got really upset about that. I was so worried when she had me do that. That was I remember that was when I sent the 25,000 back. That was when I sent the 25,000 the second time.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have me do that the first time I sent it before I recalled. So when I sent it back about a week later, when I sent it again about a week later, was the time when I sent it to Route 101 Goods in Allstead, New Hampshire. That was when she told me, write these words on a piece of paper and then hold up the piece of paper in front of your face and take a photo of you with your phone and text that to me. That scared me.
And then what she was doing on the other end was pretending to be a man who I was interacting with. On my end, I'd been a longtime Bitcoin seller on this website for years, and I had over 3,000 sales under my belt. Most 99% of them were legitimate, good sales. And so I had a customer who had purchased from me on a number of occasions, and everything seemed to be fine. I'd been dealing with this customer from as far back as the prior summer, so summer of 2019 in this case. And this same customer came to me and said he had a friend who wanted to buy Bitcoin. Well, that friend was you, or at least that's the way you were represented to me. And so I didn't have any question about this, right? From my perspective, this was a good client of mine who had bought from me on a multitude of occasions, and everything seemed to have gone smoothly. I'd never had any issues with this customer before, so they had this good rapport with me. And I'm like, yeah, just make sure your friend writes the right words on here, and then I'll send you the Bitcoin, no problem. So
was that Nelson?
Yeah,
was that Nelson?
Man named Nelson. Yeah, we're not going to say his last name here because
I know I didn't say it on purpose.
Right.
I
know.
But,
yeah, so I thought this was legitimate. In the photograph, it's you with the paperwork, and of course, he sent me your ID, which you had sent to your lover, and so from my perspective, all of the hoops that I required for Know Your Customer had been jumped through. And ultimately, you had done this because you thought you were going to get this woman, and I didn't know anything about a woman. I thought you were this friend of this guy.
That's interesting. I don't do third-party trades.
I generally don't do them either, but this was a good customer.
Was a long customer.
Yeah, he was a good customer. So ultimately, on me, it was from my perspective, I was under a long con. So somebody who was a good customer became a bad customer, and ultimately induced you to put money into bank accounts that I was involved with. So I then sent money to the scam artist, who ultimately, well, anyway, let me continue here. So then you sent that $25,000.
Well, let me just ask you.
Yeah.
Nelson sent you my picture holding the note.
Correct.
And on the bank slip to pretending to be me.
No, Nelson wasn't pretending to be you. He was pretending, the scammer was pretending to be this Nelson guy. So I don't think that the person was even Nelson.
Right.
Nelson was also likely another victim who never complained about.
The scammer was pretending to be Nelson.
And then they sent you back for, 5 or 6 more purchases, putting more money. The rest of them were cashier's checks that they had you drop into to a different account, and do the same thing with taking a picture and showing, writing on the receipts and showing that you are what appeared to me to be a consenting person. And you had a big smile on your face and everything in these photographs, even though you were feeling torn up inside. You were telling me after the fact when we had this conversation off the air, because you felt like if you didn't keep getting deeper, you'd have no chance of getting your money back.
Yeah, see, that's the reason for sending money changed. It started out because I thought that I loved her. I wanted to trust her. I made a decision to love and to trust her. I made that decision. And once I made that decision, I was willing to believe things that didn't sound quite right, didn't quite make sense, but I was willing to trust her that she knew what she was doing, even if I didn't, and that she would ultimately come to San Francisco, pay me back right away, which she promised she would do on her first day back, and then stay with me to be my woman. I said, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to believe her. Worst decision I've ever made, but that was the decision I made at the time. And then after I did, but that was why I sent $16,000 in gift cards, and that might have been why I sent the $25,000. But after I sent the $25,000, which was the fourth time I sent money, then my reason for continuing, then my reason to send money changed after that. Then I became afraid not. That I sent $25,000. She was into me for $41,000, $42,000, $43,000.
Right, and if you don't send money, then she's not going to come to you. She's not going to come see you.
Cashier's check. And the $25,000 wire. I mean.
Yeah, she's not going to come see you. You're not going to get your money, and at that point, you're thoroughly in. This is the sunken cost fallacy.
I was afraid of that. I was afraid of that. So you said the sunken cost fallacy. That's what took effect in my mind. I stopped sending money because I loved her, but that no longer was the reason I continued sending money. The reason I continued
was fear. You moved from love to fear in that particular case.
Let's address the sunken cost fallacy here in the final minutes of the show. Let's address the sunken cost fallacy. Once, whatever the investment is, because this is an investment, whatever the investment is, once you've sent the money off, it's gone. Like, you may get something back in turning in an investment. You turn in your shares, and then you get new money, but the money is already spent. When you buy 100 shares of FTL stock or whatever, the money you spent on it is now gone. You have 100 shares of FTL stock. You don't have money. You have something that may or may not be worth something in the future if you can trade it off. So you have to constantly look at investments this way, because otherwise you end up doing what Ronald has done here, which is throwing good money after bad.
Right. Yeah. It just the next request after $25,000 was for $40,000.
Yep, and then more and more and more. It ended up being over $300,000, $350 or so thousand.
She just went up the ladder on me. She went up the ladder.
Well, how did it all end?
40,000. She went to 75,000.
In 1 minute, Ron. How did it end?
75,000. How did it end? Oh well, it was in mid-January, and a little past mid-January, I had sent her my last $31,000. I told her I didn't have any money left, and that's how. And then, but she kept texting me and asking me for money. I said, I'm out of money. You have to come here and pay me back, otherwise I'm not even going to be able to pay my rent.
And the crazy thing is, we're out of time, but the crazy thing is, you told me recently, you texted her recently, and she responded.
Oh, yeah.
She's still ready to take you for more.
She's still in touch with me off and on.
But you'll never find out who she is because she's halfway across the world and we have no idea. You can't find these people. They're completely protected. It's just a crazy story. Ronald, thank you for spending your time explaining this to us tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. You can join us there. In the meantime, at freetalklive.com.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs. Marquette Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Sweet Pea and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com.
I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the